Love and truth. That's what you got. And if they're more powerful than pain, maybe they're the most real things.
The host of that interview with Jordan Peterson, Lex Friedman, at least in that moment and that reaction, might be all of us. Because Jordan Peterson can't stop himself from crying over things that, to be quite honest with you, I don't think most people really understand. And so let's take a look at this in more context and try to figure out what it is about Jordan Peterson, what it is that's making him so emotional on a regular basis. Let's watch.
Matter isn't dead, dust. I don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is. Matter is what matters. There's a definition. That's a very weird definition. But what's real? Matter. It's like, okay, that's one answer. What's real? What matters is real. Because that's how you act. Okay, so that's different than matter. It's like, okay, what's the most real of what matters? How about pain? Why is it the most real? Try arguing it away. Is there anything more fundamental than pain? Love. Really? If you're in pain, love and truth, that's what you got. And if they're more powerful than pain, maybe they're the most real things.
Let's go to that screenshot of Lex Friedman. And I'm not familiar with his work, so if he's a bad guy, don't get on me for saying that's the same expression I had on my face while watching this weird take by Peterson. This was a 3-hour-long podcast.
Oh God.
But like, okay, so here's a serious question, okay? Because I'd like to think I'm a decent person, and so this is a pattern with Peterson, and he's clearly struggling with something. I don't know what it is, because what he's saying is just word salad mixed in with weeping, and it's really difficult to understand. But one thing that's clear to me, at least, is that he's struggling with something and he's doing it in a very public way. So part of me feels really guilty laughing, but the other part of me thinks you've advocated for so many terrible things, and we'll go through those things in just a moment, that I'm like, take a nap, go for a walk. You need log off. You need to log off.
No, I have no sympathy for him. So let me explain what I think he was trying to say. So look, I'm actually very open-minded about these guys, because I just did an interview with another so-called right-wing intellectual, Curtis Yarvin, and check that out on TYT's conversation. We'll put a link down below, okay? And at the end, I was like, well, are you for dictatorship? And basically the answer was yes. And you could watch it for yourself and see. I'm trying to see, hey, are they onto something? Do they have a point? Because for example, their original thesis that the establishment is wrong is correct. So I give them credit for that. And Curtis Yarvin calls it, for example, the cathedral. I don't agree with him on anything else at all, right? But he's right that there is this power structure within media, et cetera, and politicians that are manipulating things. He's totally wrong about why. He thinks they're doing it to please professors. No, they're doing it to please donors and advertisers and people with money. That is the correct answer. So when I listen to Jordan Peterson, I say, okay, so he says what matter are things that matter. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm curious, does he mean as in your perspective on what matters, as opposed to the material world like the desk? And I was waiting to see if he was gonna make an argument that even though perspective is vaguer, is actually in a sense more real, because that is the thing that you're experiencing, than something in the material world. No, he didn't say any of that. He just gobbledygook. He has no idea what he's talking about. They go to the next thing. He's like, oh, maybe the most real thing is pain. Dude, you're going through some stuff. logically, there's no reason why pain would be quote unquote more real than joy or fear or any other emotion. Fear could be more powerful than pain. Bliss could be more powerful. Why did you pick pain? There's no rationale. He's a poor man's idea of an intellectual. He doesn't know anything. And he's just going through emotional issues right in front of all of us.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was gonna say. Pain is more real because he's currently experiencing pain. And a really, really smart man once told me, people have a difficult time seeing outside of their own perspective or lived experience. And so he's currently experiencing pain. And while I disagree with him, aggressively disagree with him on a whole host of issues, which again, we'll go over in just a moment. I don't like seeing people in pain, but at the same time, go seek help. It's okay to seek help. And that's like the biggest message that I want to send here, not just to Peterson, but to anyone else.
Yeah,
the best.
Anna,
yeah, go ahead.
The reason I'm saying that I don't have sympathy is because you can't cause pain to other people and then turn around and cry me a river about how you're in pain. And one of the reasons that you're in pain is because people are criticizing you for being such an unbelievable jerk to others. Well, why don't you straighten yourself out first, and then I'll have sympathy for you.
Got to clean your room. Clean your room before you judge the messiness of someone else's room, I think. And yes, that's a metaphor. But he does have a messy office, as we've seen in photos that have been circulated online. Nonetheless, let's talk a little bit about what Peterson has advocated for in the past, what he is in favor of. First of all, we all know about how he is against gender affirming healthcare, or just the transgender community in general. Peterson likened the doctors who performed Elliot Page's transition surgery to, quote, fascist physicians who carried out the Nazi medical experiments. Let's pause for a second. Can we please stop cheapening the word fascist? Just because you disagree with something, whether it be someone's perspective or someone's gender identity and the healthcare that they need, fascist should be used when we're referring to actual fascism. Now it's just being tossed around by everyone in both parties and on both sides as like, I don't like this person, fascist. Yeah. It's so cheap, it's insane.
Yeah, just real quick on that. Look, I think there's a logical time to use the word fascist when someone's trying to end democracy, for example, and they say that you should only listen to an authoritarian leader. Well, yeah, that sounds like fascism. A merger of the state and business interests, that sounds like fascism, because those are things that are actually related to the definition. But people like to just use it as a filler word. I don't fully agree with you, fascist. No, that's not how it works. Oh, yeah. You don't think that the most real thing is pain? Fascist. What? What are you talking about?
So let's talk about women in the workplace, something that Peterson has also weighed in on. In a Vice interview, while discussing women in the workplace, Peterson equates wearing makeup for women with sexual provocativeness and sexual displays, claiming, amongst other things, that is the reason women wear red lipstick. In the same interview, he expresses doubt about whether men and women can coexist in the workplace at all, because in his mind, men can't control themselves. In his mind, men are just these vicious animals who lose their brain the second an attractive woman walks into the workplace, and they can't help but sexually harass her in the office.
Yeah,
that's where his mind. But he's all about personal responsibility, right? Except for when you bring a woman into the equation, then it's the woman's fault, and she's just too provocative and physically. And that's what leads to all the problems in the workplace. It's the woman's fault. It's the red lipstick, totally.
Yeah, so I understand the biology argument in regards to makeup or men or women trying to make ourselves look better to appeal to the other gender. So that's an obvious argument. But wait, why would you stretch that to then let's kick out one of the genders from the workplace? Okay, are you willing to kick out men from the workplace? And he would find that thought outrageous. Wait, why is it outrageous? Why can't women work instead of men? And oftentimes women have shown that they're far more capable of getting things done than their male counterparts in different circumstances. But to them, the misogyny is assumed, the sexism is assumed. You would never kick out the men from the workplace. You would kick out the women because they're arousing the men with their red lipstick, and it's their fault.
Okay, look, just for the record, women don't wear red lipstick to be provocative in the workplace. There's a good possibility that women feel confident when they feel good and they look good. They could just be doing it for themselves. Like, I get it. I get some women, yeah, they want to look their best if they're single, they're ready to mingle. But just like that idea that everything women do is on behalf of men is pretty gross, and it's not true.
And look, you never know, and everybody's different. For example, a lot of people think, hey, is Cenk's European soccer style haircut so that he could appeal to women online? Maybe, I don't know. Look, and
the public wants to know, Cenk. The public wants to know.
They're like, is that tan real? And is it meant to appeal to all the women? Because it's obviously working. I hear you, those are legitimate questions. But that doesn't mean I should be taken off the air because I'm arousing too many people.
On the patriarchy, we also have a take from Mr. Peterson. He says the left, Peterson believes, refuses to admit that men might be in charge because they are better at it.
Why? What is with that assumption? Out of where? Philosopher.
I know, it's amazing. The people who hold that our culture is an oppressive patriarchy, they don't want to admit that the current hierarchy might be predicated on competence. Okay, can we let's go back to that cold open, team. Let's play that cold open. And remember, it's this man who thinks, no, I mean, it's just men are way more competent and they're better leaders. They're better leaders. Let's watch.
Love and truth. That's what you got. And you know, if they're more powerful than pain, maybe they're the most real things.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of women, especially public figures who happen to be women, having constant sob sessions like in their video content. I just don't see it. I'm not saying that people who cry can't be leaders. I'm just saying he seems a little emotionally.
Yeah. So guys, are there some biological differences between men and women? Of course there are. Yep. Does that mean men are better by definition? No, why would you make that assumption? So let's just break it down for a second. So if you're talking about firemen and can they carry enough up the ladder, etc. Okay, you need a certain amount of strength. We get it, okay? But if you're talking about leadership, well, we've had male leadership in the world for the last several thousand years, 5,000, 12,000 years. How's it worked out for us?
We're not winning with male leadership.
What's that?
We're not winning with male leadership. I mean,
no, but by the way, if you care about making empirical arguments, that is literally true. That doesn't mean that males shouldn't be leaders. That would be an absurd point. But if you're seeing a track record, men have a track record of unbelievable failure as leaders of nations, religions, communities. All they ever do is start wars, get other people killed for their ego. That has been the track record of men as leaders in the world. So I'm not advocating, as the right wing does, that we should make decisions based on gender and close off people from leadership or work. But if you were making that argument, you certainly wouldn't say, oh, men have nailed it so far, let's leave it in their hands.
Yeah, it's the unearned confidence that always gets me about people who make those types of arguments, right? It's just the delusion involved in making statements like that while also publicly struggling with something and not seeking the help that he clearly needs to handle it, basically. And I hope he does get the help he needs. I don't like seeing people suffer, including individuals that I disagree with politically. But I would like the same compassion from Jordan Peterson in regard to all sorts of people in this country who he has demonized and defamed through his commentary and content.
All right, last couple of things I'll say. One is, look, if you want compassion, show compassion. Until you show it, I ain't giving you any of it, okay? So you can go ahead and literally cry me a river because I think you might be able to do it. Like he cries at the drop of a hat. If you're like, hey Jordan, how you doing? Men should lead everything, but we don't. The women have taken everything from us. Look, dude, you got massive issues. You go first, you show compassion, then we'll turn all the way around and get you help and show you compassion for sure. Number two is, what I cannot tolerate is idiots being treated as geniuses. So whether it's Kanye West or Jordan Peterson, I'm not gonna have it. If they're out there pretending to be public intellectuals and philosophers, and knuckleheads are believing them and thinking they have a sophisticated argument for their sexism or racism or whatever else that he's peddling that day, well, then I'm gonna kick his ass intellectually until he's broken and crying again.
Damn, God damn, Cenk. That was exciting a little bit, I gotta be honest. Anyway. All right, there's no soy boy action over there, that's for sure.